Hello and welcome to this episode of Missions Monday. I'm so excited to be on this program because I have Pastor Schaller in the studio and Pastor Gary is joining from Illinois. And the topic is very exciting. It's about, missions, but specifically short-term missions and what it is. So I think could just start it, and I could ask Pastor Schaller about what's our Greater Grace Ministries mindset for missions.
Okay. Thanks, Pirjo, and for all you do in the missions office and in the ministry. And it's amazing. And your connection with so many people and care for people, which is really what we are. That's a starting point. In John 14, there was an interesting question asked by one of the disciples to Jesus, and it was, "Why have you come here, not to other parts of the world?" Or here it is. What Judas, not Iscariot, "Lord, how is it you will manifest yourself to us and not to the world?" And Jesus said, "If anyone loves me, he will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him." What an answer. Why did Jesus go only to Israel and not to China, Africa, India? Because of love. If someone loves me and will keep my word, and then my Father will love him, and we will come to him and live with him. So that's the answer.
Wow. Love. Wow. And have the fellowship.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pastor Gary, would you follow up on that about our mindset for missions?
No, I'm not going to. We have love. The mindset for missions. Yeah. Well, the mindset for missions, I guess, one of our mindsets is Bible college. And when we say Bible college, it's because our minds are transformed. And then it's you could say, like, later in that chapter, it speaks about the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit, comes and lives inside of us. And then we start to believe these miraculous words of Christ, and we experience them. And then after we experience them, we have love with the Father, and then we actually, believe it or not, this miracle happens in our life that we actually start to find a way to love other people, and we're not, self-centered, and our ego isn't what needs to be satisfied in this world, and we start to believe the Great Commission. And this is I think it's a personal story of missions, of a missionary, is that you actually discover that you can love people. And, that was Christ. He saw people that were without a shepherd. They were just going their own way. And he came to love them so that they could have love with the Father. And so I guess that's one of the foundations of what starts missions going, is that there's a fullness in life. We're complete, and we have a sense of overflow where we're able to give to others. And another one is like the way we think about people, the way we use our tongue, and the way we can be friendly with people, and the way we, you could say, the way that we've never handled people before in our life. We get a handle them with love and or adjust to God's love, you know, when we fail and we see there's a provision for failure, and God forgives us, and then we can still love people. Like our failure isn't final. Those are some of the, you know, like if my failure was final, where would I, you know, how far could I go in loving other people? Where would I have like a, you know, a sense of confidence to love? But you really, you know, it is a love that you receive from the Father first. So that's kind of a foundation of
Mm-hmm.
missions.
Wow. So, oh wow. Just
Well,
thinking about that.
Right.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Like the also like that we don't stop like because of personal failure, that God's love overcomes that in our lives too.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
So well then
Why don't we, Pirjo, why don't we talk about like you know the foundation for maybe a, before we talk about places, just talk about the foundation of a of short-term missions for an individual, for a team, about going, location, what we want to do. You know, maybe Pastor Schaller, if you want to say anything about that. Was that a good idea?
like
Yeah.
what's the point or the purpose of short, like
Yeah.
we summer
Yeah.
missions is short-term missions, right?
Right.
So
Right.
why do
Right.
we do that?
Yeah. Well, you know, we saw a video yesterday from Thailand, and they did a mission trip up to Laos. I don't know, Pastor Gary, if you saw that.
Yes.
Okay. So here's a small church in Mahachai, Thailand, and they just care. They care about people in Laos, and there are people in Laos that have not heard the gospel. So when you are healthy yourself, you are loved by God. You're at peace. You're not striving. You're not frustrated, and you love people. And then there are people you've never met, but you go to them and you share the love. So let's say you're in a van. In that case, I think they had 15 people in the van. Their church is healthy. They're in the van, riding there. They love each other in the van. They're like normal, you could say, normal people that love each other, and they have a message. They have something to bring. They're bringing something to another group of people, and that's you know, you have people that are very much in your community. That's in Thailand. Then you have people that are not in your community, but somehow it's the same, similar culture, similar religious background, similar language, even. And then there is like further away, you know, like I would say if the Thais went to Mexico, or they did a mission trip to northern Russia, that would be a different, you know, that's a different group. But the message is, and the roots of it is essentially the same, and that is if you are healthy as people and you love God, then we love each other, and then we love the ones that we don't know.
Yeah.
So if someone who's listening, or in our church, we do a big promotion for summer harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the last Sunday in February. So we want to give opportunities for church members to experience short-term missions. So so for anybody in our congregation, like this thing that if they would think, oh, am I healthy? Like, can I go?
Yeah, right, right.
What are those things that I would say, okay, I'm okay, I can go?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think that you start off by saying the most important, just say if you go as a team, the most important aspect is that we love the team, that we love the people that are on the team, and we speak right about each other. And this is an important aspect, is that you're going to get to know people and be with people a larger amount of time than you are in church. And this is really healthy, and hopefully it's a different sphere of people. It's not just your friends, but it's a different sphere of people in the church. So it's beautiful when it happens, is that you see, just say you see people with your natural eyes, and all of a sudden you realize, in order to have fellowship, in order to have unity, in order to have stability on this team, have spiritual life, I have to make a huge adjustment here. I can't just live what I thought was a spiritual life by going to church, but now in a day where I'm living before people on my team and my life is exposed to other people, how secure I am with people, the words that I say, what I do with my time, how I eat, who I converse with. And so team life becomes really important on a short-term mission, because now my life is being exposed to more people and on this team. And this is a huge opportunity for people to actually grow. And then I also get to know people. We use the word, not knowing people after the flesh, but I actually start to realize and see that I can operate in the spirit for, like you could say, a longer period of time, or I can operate in the spirit with other people, and I feed off of other people's portions on a team, and I get revived by them, and I learn from them, and I watch their lives, and all of a sudden this team becomes this huge tool that God can use, when they go to a place and they have, they define their purpose, and in the meantime, God's doing this huge work of people are growing, and this is why people come back with joy when they've been on a summer harvest, or you could say they come back with a spiritual smile in their soul. Is like I did something I've never done before in my life, and it was a huge spiritual experience where our boundaries were extended, or I grew in an area where I never thought I could. And then when they come back, they bring that back to the church, and now you have friends in the church where you've gone through something with, you've experienced something with, and it's like you just like look at each other across from the church, and you know what you're thinking. Like, we grew together, our hearts were knit together when we were on that team, or we discovered God together, and there becomes this knitting together of people in the church on these teams, and when people go out for a summer harvest. That's the team aspect.
Yeah, I would add also about teams is that those people who are interested, like at this, in February, sign up for teams. So then the team leader starts meeting and having prayer meetings and planning. And like Pastor Ramir has, I think for 3 years, gone to the Indian reservation in South Dakota to minister to the native Indians. And he has had every time a big team, and they meet regularly for prayer. And then they have a booth at the convention to raise funds, and so they work together and already before they go to the field. So I think that's also an important aspect of team building and growing in the vision and praying together. So, and then when you're there, you see great answer prayer. Yeah. Is it a good thing? No, but I also wanted to mention an example, like that, can I go? Like, there was this person in a church, had never ever in her entire life thought about that she could do any kind of mission. But then when she came to the event, and then it was kind of, she got interested in it and talked to the team leader, and it's like, of course. So for her first experience on mission field was life transforming. She was so full of joy. And she's like, I never thought I would do missions, and this was so great. And, like she's ready to go every summer, So they're
Yes.
like, it is for everybody, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, the local church preparing people with the right attitude. I think there's a big difference between a short-term mission trip and then long-term missions. So we're talking about short-term, because every year in Greater Grace, Baltimore, we start in the winter now to prepare for the summer and to do what we call summer harvest. So it takes prayer and groups of people, and in a short time we're going to have a Sunday, which is where we're going to promote it. And what Sunday is that? Is that next Sunday or
February
the next one?
25th.
Okay, a week from Sunday, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
A week from Sunday, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll have groups on stage. We'll have some signs. We're going to kind of figure out where we want to send people to go. And okay, people might say, oh, well, that's the Baltimore church, or that's a big church, or they've been doing this for decades. But our cry is that what they did in Thailand can be done, with every healthy church, or even maybe the church is a little, what would we say, unhealthy, but maybe they need measure. So then the leader needs to pray about it, think about it, and send a team to Sweden or Norway, or from the UK to Scotland or Belgium, or from France to another city in France, or somewhere West Africa, and so on. Like and in America, the Chicago church, and the Greenfield, and the Nashville, and the Houston church. All of us, we can pray about the next city or in the next area. They call E1 is in my own culture, E2, semi like my culture, and then E3 is the ends of the world. And actually, to be honest, like Mongolia is far away from a lot of us, but Kyrgyzstan is closer, to Mongolia than we are. But maybe we go, or maybe they go. But let's right now pray about it, think about it, and then maybe do a trip, check it out, pray for contacts, make a plan, and then the team that goes can be 2 people, 5 people, 15 people, or more. My son Justin with the Fed Hill Church, I know they're praying about Idaho here in the States. So
with the vision that in the future there could be a church plant. Like,
yeah.
We go back to the same, like let's say Namibia, we did it maybe 3 years ago, and then the year after, and then there were trips, and there were like South Africa church and Malawi church, and from Zambia, they were involved, and people from EA involved. Took trips, made contacts, and now there's a team. So that it will be then long-term missions.
Yeah, there's many parts. So Pastor Gary was in Indonesia this past summer with the idea to start a school, a Bible school. And how is that going now? You're 6 months into the school, so how's that going, Pastor?
Good. Well, what's developed from it is actually, well, we have some Indonesians on the school. It's the second semester, and now the Filipinos are on. So we're doing both Indonesia and the Philippines. So that's a Bible school class that we're doing. Actually, the Indonesian guy, Pastor Cliff Vincent's done a lot of investment there. He actually went there. Him and his wife, but some of his contacts are the people that are taking the Bible school class. We have one guy, Chris, from, we haven't met him. We met some people there, but a guy that Cliff knows that I don't know, but he seems to be a guy that's really responding. And what's going to end up happening is, well, Matt Hadley goes there in a week, I think, and he's going to meet him. So yeah, these are how things kind of get started. It's we want the Bible school to find a place to start a church, a place where people are responding, and that's the place where we can kind of target investment. That's what for Indonesia. The Philippines, the Bible school is, it's the same class, but it's training. It's training people, training leaders in the grace of God. It gives us an opportunity to have a personal relationship. We talk before the class and after the class. We start to get to know these guys. Pastor Wright plans on going in October when the CCON is in the Philippines. So it starts to breed some contacts. The Cambodian church kind of Pastor. Before Pastor Ryan went, we did an outreach there, and we did there with a summer. We went there twice. Once we did with leaders, and once we went with the summer harvest. And Pastor Ryan got a vision to go there. So it puts summer harvest, gives people a vision of where to go, and we're hoping that happens in Indonesia. We're hoping that happens. We're hoping missionaries can go to the Philippines. They're talking about Malaysia now. You're talking about Laos. All of Southeast Asia. We have Pastor Mike Plunkett in Singapore. So these are all actually before we went to Cambodia. Pastor Walsh, he had made contacts in Cambodia. So all these trips kind of snowball or accumulate, or it puts also just dropping the name of these places where people have been. It puts it on people's heart. It's funny how it sticks sometimes. People say things, Pastor Schaller, you said Philippines to me many times, and it just kind of sticks in your heart, and when you start to hear words, like places, and it sticks in people's hearts. I know there's people thinking about Nepal. We start talking about Bolivia. We're talking about Panama City. Like some of the new places. We're talking about Latvia. Pastor Fred is going to Scotland, but these trips, it kind of like it gives God an opportunity for people you don't know who they are. They hear the name, and it draws their hearts to that place. And like you said, Pirjo, there's amazing preparation before people go. I mean, in Indonesia, there's a prayer. I know some are live. We've done prayer. Pastor Ramir does prayer, like that type of preparation. It's before we went to Germany, we prayed. We got together once a week and we prayed. These are ways to start visions. Put it, and like our prayer is that I just think sometimes I think about missions. It's such a privilege to have done it, in overseas missions, planning a church, to learn about God, what God did in my life in missions. I just like, you don't know how it could play out that way any other way. I mean, and you want people to experience that. I don't know why. It's such a heart of God is to go to a place where you don't know the people, and you just believe like they're going to experience holiness, they're going to experience righteousness, they're going to experience the body of Jesus Christ. And somehow I think like when about being fruitful and multiplying in the Old Testament, it's like church planting is a way of being like fruitful and multiplying, like you get more spiritual brothers and sisters. And it's amazing, like, well, Eurocon, it's like I can't believe our fullness because of missions. And it's just a grace that this church has been given, of all the people that have gone out and planted churches, and people that have been missionaries, like I or we get to like experience or receive the benefits of that fullness of other people's portions, and seeing how this like-mindedness, or this faith in Jesus Christ, or this what Christ produces in people's life is so one. There's so much unity there. There's this like, it's all centered right at the cross. And that is the solutions for our life is always the same. It's never changing. Our foundation will never change. We have this eternal hope that is real. We've seen miracles in our own lives. We've seen miracles in other people's lives. And missions is obviously, it's on God's heart, but we have such an incredible ability of team life, of a message, to give people with confidence, and it really does work. It really does give people eternal life, and people recognize it. So yeah, I don't know where I started from your question there, Pirjo, but that's where I ended up.
Okay.
So
While you were talking, I thought about maybe you could share the vision and the heart behind and the opportunities that they are locally. Like you mentioned the word Summer Live. Could you share about that?
well, sure. I mean, maybe you think you can't travel that far, or you don't want to, or you don't have that time, or Summer Live is where we go into the city of Baltimore, and we love people, and we invest, and we go out as teams in parts of Baltimore City, and we get to spend 2 to 3 weeks, in about 3 nights a week, and we get to invest in a certain area, and we get to know people. People get to know us, and we share our faith, especially to kids, and then we get to know the families and the teenagers in the area, and that team life experience happens in Summer Alive. I mean, that's what I emphasize, is that team life experience should be primary. It's more important than even going and reaching people. That team life experience, it has to start with love, and that team has an incredible ministry to other people there. So then you have that, like I talked about earlier, that smile in your soul, where God's done something, and you see each other, and it's like we got to see people grow on our team this year. Just people that would never come together, kind of randomly, an aggregate mixture of people in the church, and here we are ministering together, and we get to know each other, as we're ministering. I think that's one of the most beautiful aspects of some of your dearest friends in the ministry, as people you live with in the dorms, or people you have ministered with. And so it helps the body of Christ to do outreach, to do, ministry, because it mixes the body of Christ in the way that we actually see each other. It's just an opportunity for God to really knit people together, and then the other thing is, like, you see other people's strengths. You get to use, you discover gifts in your life that you never knew you had. You get to serve, and you get to find, God's ability in your weaknesses. So that's like the local opportunity that we have, and also we have, the neighboring ministries that we're thinking about, bolstering or doing, like, a blitz, or to do events in the local churches where we go out on a Saturday night or a Friday night or a Friday Saturday event. That's what people can do, okay, locally.
Missions. Anyway.
Let's see. Okay.
Well,
Let's talk. Pastor Gary, you can ask us a question. I can ask Pirjo. When I think about a small church being healthy and people learning to evangelize, I might not be a good evangelist at home, but when I go abroad, I can learn. I can, maybe I've never done it even, but I go on a trip and I learn to evangelize. Have you ever done that?
I mean, I learned evangelize. I went with a group in Finland when I heard about outreach. I didn't know what it was. I was a new believer, so
Yeah,
I just went. I had obviously never done it before, but when I heard about it, it's like, wow, I could actually tell others about Jesus.
Yeah, right. And even in another country or another venue, you might have more courage. You might be you might realize how open people are. I think that happened in Laos, actually, that the people were very encouraged. They had opportunities, and people, if you're in a part of the world that nobody really cares about, if you're in a landlocked small country somewhere, or even on an island somewhere in the South Pacific, and you go there to just share the message, people say, "Why did you come here?" Has that ever happened to you, Pastor Gary?
Sure. You go there, and also you also ask yourself, why am I here?
Sure.
You go to a gas station here, and hey, that's where I fill up with gas. You go to the store, that's where I get my milk. But you go there, and all of a sudden you think of, like, hey, wait, these are people. Like, wait, why am I here? And you start to share,
Yeah.
your faith with them. There's a consciousness, I guess, of going, isn't there? Like being sent out two by two. It's what you're going for. There's a purpose. The line is drawn. Like, I'm coming here for this purpose.
Right. Can we say there are people that go abroad for money? There are people that go abroad for their relatives. People go abroad for vacation. They go abroad to watch the Super Bowl. They went to Las Vegas yesterday to go watch, or they will go to Hawaii to play golf, or they go to somebody's wedding. But what about you going for no reason but a mission? I go there only to tell them about Jesus Christ. What about that?
Yeah, it kind of drowns out all the other voices. And when you go there, like, with that purpose, you find that the world system, the kind of the ties that you have to it, you start to see there's a division there that happens in your life. And I think God starts showing you a new way to think about other people, about his heart. Like there's like a weaning process, and that's a quick weaning process is when you go on the mission field, and you can start to think about other people.
If you think about it on the receiving end, that somebody says, "Why did you come here to Sierra Leone?" And you can say in your heart, "I came for you. I don't even know who you are,
Right.
but I came for you." And when that person, if they would even believe that, like a little bit, and say, "Really? What do you mean? No, you came here for diamonds or gold or a vacation, or you're looking for drugs or partying, or you're coming for your own advantage, or you have some selfish thing in it." And you go, "No, I dealt with all that selfishness at the cross, and I have come here by faith to share the message with you, with lost people. And the message is about Christ. And I'm going to leave in 1 week. I'm not going to see you again, maybe, but I'm going to leave in 1 week. But I want to leave you with this understanding that God loves you." What about that? That's very powerful.
Yeah.
And we have experienced that. And we know when we lie down and go to sleep and search our hearts, why did I go to Finland years ago? Why? I know why. And I live with that. And you live with that, and Pirjo lives with that, and many of our sisters and brothers. And living with that in our heart is really a reward, that I actually had no other thing in my heart. That's a beautiful thing. And then I have sisters and brothers that love God and are loved by God, and that's a treasure. And we will be together in heaven forever. So what about that? It's a it's amazing. Added to the thought too is missions is empowered by God. Missions is not just something like neutral. It's empowered by God. He sends you, and he empowers you. He protects you. He uses you. The message does come across from your heart to people.
Mm-hmm.
They do believe it. It is rooted in them. They are saved by grace. They are a new creation. They are in the family of God. And what purpose could be greater than that? Do you want to say something, Pirjo?
No, I was just thinking like it is like the greatest thing.
Yes,
And
it
then the
is.
value of each soul, like each person, God created them for himself, but they are lost. And the only way they can be saved is if they believe in Jesus. And we can share that message. And our lives is a testament. That's what happened to us.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. So we should be. Another thing, Pastor Gary, you can ask us a question. I want you to think about this, and then you can ask Pirjo a question. And it goes like this, okay? Most pastors that I know, when they pastor church, they stay there. They stay there for 20 years or 30 years, or and that's a very common model. There's another model though, and that is Paul planted churches and he left, and he planted and left. And you've done that in Berlin, and we know our sisters and brothers that have gone to different places in the world. They have done it and they left. Stan Collins did Peru, then he went to Argentina, and so the Apostle Paul, which model should pastors contemplate? What should we think about doing? Like, should I now, when you go to a foreign country, it's easy to think I'm going to be here for 5 years or 10 years, and then I'm going to leave and go to another place. That's easy. But when you're in your home country and you're pastoring there, it's like not clear to you to leave. But should pastors be leaving?
I think you're asking yourself that question, that you want to answer it. That's
Right.
yeah, that's I would love to hear from you on something like that.
We could hear from Pirjo.
Yeah, that's it's interesting as you were saying that, Pastor Schaller. I was thinking of myself. Like, I was going to Germany for a year, and then it was for 2 years, and then actually after I was there, you could say maybe 8 or maybe 10 years. It's like, well, I guess I'm going to be here the rest of my life. And we were literally thinking about, well, why don't we find an apartment here that we buy and we live here for the rest of our life? I mean, you see the need, you're ministering. Our kids were kind of like getting ready to go back to the States, and we're thinking like, well, you could say we love it here. We found a place here. We love the people here. And it's kind of, maybe you could say we lost sight of, of the world, of others. We went to a lot of different other cities. There was thinking about going to other cities, but that's it's a great challenge for us as pastors. That I asked myself that should I go out again? Should I think about the world? I talk about missions, but am I willing and ready to go? Do I have like, why not use the next 10 years again to do something somewhere else? Maybe be a pastor, be an assistant, maybe help a work, be something that's going on, strengthen something. Move around, shift our lives up a little bit, ask God. I guess, sometimes we say, well, I've got a house, I have grandchildren now, I've lived here, but you're like, well, wait, what would God want? You know what I mean? Think that's a great question to ask. And maybe, where's a white harvest field? How can God use me? Maybe I could be used. That was a big question I always had, Pastor Schaller. I mean, you challenged me about, you just said, where could you have an effect? And I thought about that when you challenged me, and that was one of the reasons why I went to Germany. And I believe I had an effect there. But it was a big thought, like, could I affect other people's lives somewhere else? That was, I guess that was in my thinking. Also, what would help in that, I guess, in new places, is team building. I don't really want to just maybe go with my wife, but go where there is a team. Or, as Pirjo's been stressing, is this prayer aspect of praying, that we would cell groups praying about places to go. That's a huge question, Pastor. I know. To answer your question, I morphed in my kind of thoughts on that, and then it was also like, after, say, my 12 years, it was like also go back to, after a certain time, I just felt it was healthy to go back to Baltimore. And now I've stayed here. So, should I go out again? I mean, these are great questions. We have a huge resource of pastors, assistant pastors in our churches. maybe that's a way to go. We have young people. Sometimes we say, we're not going as much. There's resources of people in our church, and there's people that have truth in them that could go to places again. So, and there's my question maybe to you, Pastor Schaller. I always think of like going on a short term. Like, I want to build up a local church, and maybe a local church is thinking like, hey, I need encouragement.
Yeah.
Maybe we're saying this is the way to encourage yourself. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, no, I think your answer is good. I mean, and also God is using you. You're like experienced, and you can take a group like Luke Myers and other young guys, probably Roger Robbins in the past, hooked up with you, and you did a trip, and then you have really had a big influence, and I think that's a great model. I don't know that we have to go and live somewhere, but we can take people around, and then somebody it can stick, and they can say, I feel called to be here. Let's say the Philippines, which Pastor Drew is doing such a good job with Pastor Clyde. And there's a lot of people in the Philippines that are responding and needing guidance and mature Bible teaching and mature understanding of the Bible and the life of not legalistic but grace centered. So we are going to ask Pirjo the question. So I got that in mind. So she's preparing her answer, I think. But I was I would say when somebody like is retiring, maybe they could when they retire as a pastor, they could consider what we're saying. I mean, Brent Hillinga is not, he's actually a young guy, but he's 65 years old. But he lives in Colombia, South America, and he's doing a great job with a lot of energy, a lot of faith, a lot of joy. It's awesome. So we're just provoking people in the program.
Yeah.
Okay, Pirjo, go ahead.
What was your exact question?
It was like,
do people retire and go?
Yeah, retire, or should I be like a pastor for 20 years and turn it over to somebody and go and plant a church somewhere?
I think it can work both ways, but like, let's say Baltimore home base, like that would be very radical, because here it's like, people come from other places for training, like Bible college.
Yeah.
And then also the church is like, I think it would be like for the people in the church, like a big adjustment. I think, okay, so we'll have this pastor for a certain number of years, but then it would be a totally different like way of, relating to and learning about it.
Okay. But then what about another church?
I think
was it you got Finland, France, Germany, Hungary. You've got church in Mexico, Houston, right? You've got other.
Yeah, and isn't it like also like in the mind of a pastor to like in the church to train other men who are able and who can then do what you do?
Yes.
So in that way, if there's like the next person,
yes,
who could take over, and then that would free the person to go and do the Paul model. And is it maybe is it also this way that some are called to do that?
Yeah, some are called to do that. The Apostle Paul was called to do that, wasn't he?
Oh yeah,
I mean, really. I mean, he's maybe the best example of like the top, model for the church. God gave us the Apostle Paul as a model, didn't he?
Yeah.
But on the other end of it is a small church, 10 people or 15 people, if that's somebody's, that's the gift that the Lord gave them, and they have a small group. But they should also, at the other end of the argument or the discussion, we want to recognize them, that they are precious, valuable ministers. They're helping 15 people stay out of jail, 15 people stay out of the bar room, 15 people be ignorant, uneducated regarding the way of salvation. They are people who have new friends, and there's a pastor that is leading and ministering to them. So I don't mean to jump off the subject, but I want, before the program ends, I want to say that that we are thankful for what God is doing. And if the work is only on the basis of love, meaning, why didn't you, Jesus, go to other parts of the world? And he said, because if you love me, that'll work. If you love me, then there will be love, and that love will love others, and that's why.
Wow. It's amazing. Do you have a closing comment, Pastor Gary?
Love works.
It does.
Love works in our own heart and in other people.
Yeah.
It really does.
Mm.
There's so much. Isn't there so much wisdom in love? I think that's the other thing about. I don't want to start another subject, but just as you're talking about love, there's so much wisdom in love, and that's something we get in God's mind. In loving people, we discover the wisdom of God.
Mm.
It really does work. And like thinking of Eurocon, just the wisdom that God has given people because we love each other. There's no wisdom if there isn't love.
Mm.
And so I'm just so thankful that we have a foundation in our life and a ballast in our life. You could say the Holy Spirit brings us back to the work of Christ, and it really does work. And we know it's the only way that people were designed to actually live.
Mm.
And so when we go to that other place and we go there, we're like, hey, we know the same way I live is the same way you can live. And people believe the gospel, and they get converted, and they believe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor Gary. Thank you, Pastor Shao. And anyone who's watching or wondering, how can I be involved and what do I have to do? So you can contact us at the missions office. You can call 410-483-3700, or you can email to missions@gtwo.org, and come in person to the missions office. Come to the Harvest Kickoff Night on the 25th of February at 8:30 in the chapel, and afterward in the family center.
It's 6:30 in the chapel, right? Or when?
What? Yes, I said it wrong. 6:30.
8:30. Yeah.
6:30. Bye.
Hey, see you, Pirjo.